In 2017, we had one of the best entrepreneurs, not just in Canada or the US, but in the world, a man named Tony Hsieh. We've named this gala after him. He passed away a few years ago. Ooh. And he was a great friend to me and to many people in this room. He would bring his team every year on a bus up from Vegas, and he embodied what this event's about. Community building, kindness, a hand up. He was one of the greatest philanthropists I know. And when he passed away, Chris and I said, we must keep his spirit alive. And so we named the most important part of the event, where we honor the best brands and the leaders behind them, after him, because he was one of them. And so last year, we honored Tony in the first year, but this year, the team went to work over 12 months looking for the second recipient of the Tony Hsieh Award. And one of his best friends is here tonight, and one of his strongest employees at Zappos that embodied that. Please welcome to the stage, Tyler Williams.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. It was an honor to accept the award last year on behalf of Tony, and because this is a very emotional topic for me, I did write something out. So, Tony, they told you were crazy for dropping out of Harvard, and you immediately got a cush, high-paying job with Oracle. They told you were crazy for quitting your cush job at Oracle to build a company called Link Exchange in your friend's basement with his mom's loan. And you quickly built one of the biggest digital ad agencies on the internet. We have you to thank for clickbait ads. They told you were crazy for turning down $1 million offer to buy Link Exchange, because out of the blue you said, offer me $2 million. Well, then you sold that to Microsoft for $275 million less than 2 years later. They told you were crazy for having the audacity to sell shoes online, that it would never work. You quickly built one of the most beloved online retailers on the planet and sold it to Amazon for $1.2 billion in an all upfront stock acquisition. When their stock was $54 a share, do the math. They paid more for Zappos than Whole Foods. They told you were crazy for investing in culture and employee happiness. And then you had a company that was harder to get into than Harvard, that was on Fortune's best companies to work for list, with top-tier talent at higher retention rates than any other tech company. They told you were crazy for investing $350 million of your personal money into a blighted area of downtown Las Vegas and for moving Zappos headquarters there. Las Vegas is now the #1 resident inflow city in the entire country of the United States. They told you were crazy for trying to lure and startup and tech companies to the desert. Vegas is now one of the top cities in the world for pre-stage IPO tech funding in the entire United States. They told you were crazy when you tried to eliminate the top-down managerial structure in favor of self-organized marketplace dynamics. Zappos became more productive, profitable, and diversified with new service verticals like Zappos at Work, who are here tonight and thriving. Hey, Christy, Shelby. They told you were crazy for taking an almost high school dropout, washed-up musician and making him your head of brand experience. And he's here today presenting to a room of some of the most distinguished brands and talented marketing minds on the planet. For someone who they said was crazy, you sure got a lot of shit right. I can only hope that the brilliant companies and minds in this room get called crazy by them. It means you're doing something worth doing. You're breaking barriers and boundaries. You're taking risks and proving that the impossible is possible. And I've heard so many of you this week talk about that and what your companies are doing. And I hope those that are here to learn go out and do the same. Like Ryan said, as the committee was combing through the Tony Hsieh Award contenders this year, there were many high-profile investors, celebrities, big names that I won't mention, that were connected to Tony in some way and would have made a big splash here for sure. As we got closer to making that decision, we kept going back to one company and founder that was not only directly inspired by Tony, but had evolved beyond the ideas that Tony had progressed and laid the foundation for. Somebody kind, somebody resilient, and definitely crazy in their pursuit of taking something that most would just take the easy route, but made it his personal mission to take the hard road, the path less traveled. I'm extremely honored and personally so proud of the winner this evening. Somebody who has gone through amazing struggles and come out the other side and chosen to make big investments in their employees, in their community. And without further ado, roll the video.
When you see our offices, you feel like you walked into like Willy Wonka meets Google. It's sort of a reminder of those lessons from Tony early on. Don't take yourself too seriously. Cutting off people's ties or coming to work with a mohawk or showing up with a couple llamas is not too far from the way that we operate. We make gelato. Inherently, it's happy. It's at the essence of who we are as a brand. It's kind of like the old saying of the goal isn't to live forever, it's to create something that does. I think Tony has done that. Now it's up to us to create our own versions of delivering happiness. Tony had an ability really to, I think, challenge the status quo. Do you think Amazon acquired them because they wanted to sell shoes and didn't know how to sell shoes? No. I really think if you were to have a chat with Bezos, he would share that he admired Tony and the way he ran a company and hoped that that inspiration would enter Amazon in some way.
This shoe store is revolutionizing how business gets done.
Tony Hsieh, the Emperor of Shoes.
In 2011, I started reading Delivering Happiness and realized that so much of what Tony was sharing was really how I wanted to not only start to build a company, but see my company grow and aspire to. I had a chance to go see Zappos. Just a bunch of weirdos, like everyone was having the best time and everything on the wall sort of spoke to their energy and their excitement around what they did. And seeing that and seeing the enjoyment people were having, you realize that when you treat your team like that and have the opportunity to enrich their lives in a meaningful way, it can do much more than just create the cool workplace. And I asked myself a question when I left. I said, you know, why couldn't I build a company like that? At Righteous, my goal has only ever been to help people think differently about how they can come to work, show up, be themselves, be courageous, curious, have creativity. I don't want the culture to be me as much as I want it to be the sum of what everyone's been empowered to think about.
What's the weirdest? This blue cheese has to be up there.
Yeah, I think blue cheese, or one time there was a grainy Dijon one.
For us, you know, as you walk up the stairs to the office, it says, create something that'll make the world more awesome. So some businesses want to make money, and the best businesses want to make change.
My favorite quote is, "A great brand is a story that never stops unfolding." Like, that's why I'm super excited about the next 10 years, the next 20 years here at Zappos, because I can't wait to see what unfolds next.
brands persevere and move forward, it's really important for them to reflect on who they are and what they stand for. Because I think, every brand in this room has a really interesting opportunity to say, like, who are we and why did we start and what do we stand for? For us, it's really going to be not about gelato. It never has been. Tony would say we just happen to sell shoes, and I would say we just happen to make gelato. Tony's essence was really about fun, service, joy, happiness, just really it not feeling like work. Life is hard, and it doesn't have to be harder because we have to go to work every day. It can actually be one of the greatest things in our life. There's not really a greater honor than receiving an award that honors Tony and what I think is the greatest company that ever got to teach. That's unreal. So, thanks, Tony.
So please give a warm welcome to the 2023 winner of the Tony Hsieh Award, James Boettcher.
Sit down, you weirdos. Tyler, so many kind words. It's hard to believe those come from somebody that got to spend almost every day with Tony, so thank you. That means a lot. On the bus ride up to dinner the other night, Tim and Matt were sitting behind me, and he said, never meet your heroes because they'll almost always disappoint you. And I think for me, I only got a few glimpses into Tony in real life, but I got to learn so much through the proxy of what he was creating. You saw in the video, I read the book pretty early on in our journey, and it taught me a lot about what was possible. And Chris said this earlier, a vision doesn't matter unless you have the ability to execute. Early on in our journey, I knew that creating things that would make the world seem possible, what was impossible, and a workplace culture for us, it would never work if the team didn't believe in it. So Brittany, who's celebrating 15 years with us next year, was one of the first to hear about this crazy place called Zappos and all the wild and weird things they were doing, not only to make work fun, but also be relentless in serving the world. Then others joined the cause because for them, it never really feels like work. Shannon, Marilyn, John B., Justin, who are all here today, a few of the Righteousonians. Thank you for being the ones that keep the culture each and every day. Tony taught me work doesn't have to feel like work, and companies don't need to act like companies. They could act like cities, and that people could be empowered to do the right thing no matter what for your customers, and even more so for your team. That rang true in Tony's story, or Tyler's story last year about Tony showing up with a bus full of Zapponians on his first week of work to a concert that no one else was at. And a great reminder to us, the love we have to give as leaders, and that it doesn't have to be complicated. A true story, in 2017 at this gala, I wrote Tony a thank you card and handed it to him at this gala. I wanted him to know how much he had changed my life and the life of so many others. Tony, you will always and forever get credit for teaching us and many others that courage, community, and curiosity are essential, and that culture is number one. Not fame, not money, just culture. Thank you to Ryan, Chris, Riley, Brad, Nikki, the whole team at The Cult and The Gathering for all that you do and all that you have added to all of our lives. Creating community makes people feel welcome, inspiring so many. Those are all traits that Tony had, and I can't imagine a life without the gathering and all that it does to make the world more awesome. Thanks to Mandy, my wife, for always entertaining me to go to Vegas, not to gamble or see a show, but on one of our very first dates to visit Zappos, reminding me how important that was. And last but not least, John B., aka Dad. Thank you. Thank you for leaving your career to join Righteous 10 years ago. I don't know why you asked. My dad asked if he could be my janitor because he didn't love going to work every day. And I said, I can't afford a janitor, but I need a shipper-receiver. So he agreed to it. I'm sure glad you did. It makes it easy for me to know the decisions as I make as a leader are under the microscope of the human that created me. You don't get to hear this, but I often end with a saying that is, build the company you'd want your mom or dad to work for. And for me, I get to do that. So for the rest of you, I encourage you to do the same. But perhaps the message for you is to build the company that your son, daughter, mom, or father would be glad that you built. Tony, I promise we will carry your work on and continue to find a way to make it even more magical. You have my word. Thank you.
Please welcome to the stage your host for the evening, John Heffron.